The story opens with a strange hush moving across social media. The kind of hush that only comes when something explosive is about to break. Viewers could sense it creeping in through the comments under quiet posts. The sudden pause in Erika Kirk's curated feed, and the sharp edge in Candace Owens' latest livestream. A storm had been building behind closed doors for weeks. But no one expected the first crack in the sky to come from Candace herself. When she finally spoke, the tone in her voice told everyone that this was not a passing disagreement. It was deeper, sharper, and tied to something that had been buried for far too long. She said she was tired of protecting people who hid behind charm and faith. She said she had receipts. Fans began to swarm the timeline, searching for clues as the tension rose by the minute. The trouble had started with an unusual shift in Erika's behavior. She had always carried herself with a confident calm, but lately she seemed unsettled. Small things gave her away, repeated posts about forgiveness, long captions hinting at betrayal, sudden silence where she once offered morning prayers and sunlit family portraits. People wondered if she was facing pressure at home, but no one imagined that Charlie, the man she trusted most, would become the center of a scandal that could upend their entire circle. The whispers grew into conversations when Erika skipped an event she had been preparing for all month. Rumors spun through group chats, claiming she had been crying backstage. Others insisted she had confronted someone minutes before disappearing. Something had changed, and those closest to her felt the shift before the public ever caught a glimpse. Then Candace dropped the first hint. It was casual on the surface, but her eyes told another story. She spoke about loyalty, about people pretending to be one thing in public while hiding their real choices in the dark. Viewers waited for the punchline, but she remained steady, almost deliberate in the way she allowed silence to fill the space. That silence became more alarming than anything she could have said outright. Fans began to connect the dots and realized she was talking about someone well-known. Someone close to her, someone whose reputation had been packaged as flawless. Within hours, the comments filled with Erika's name. Some defended her with fierce devotion. Others wondered why she had been so quiet lately. A few even suggested she must know something she was afraid to say. Everything escalated when Candace posted a short message late at night. It read like a warning and felt like the opening line of a confession that would not be easy to take back. She said she would no longer stay silent about Charlie's cover-up, and that the truth would explain Erika's meltdown better than any rumor. That single message spread faster than anything she had posted in months. Screens lit up from coast to coast as fans tried to understand what Charlie had done and how deeply it had shaken Erika. The air felt charged with the kind of tension that changes friendships forever. Everyone knew that once the receipts came out, nothing in their circle would look the same again. The tension around Candace Owens' midnight post kept growing as the hours passed, and the silence from Erika Kirk's side only made everything feel stranger. People stayed awake, refreshing their screens, waiting for one of them to speak again. By sunrise, the entire digital world was locked into the rumor that Charlie Kirk had hidden something serious. Something that could shake their tight circle in a way no one saw coming. The moment the sun touched the skyline, reporters, bloggers, and even small commentary pages rushed to create theories. But nothing measured up to what was happening inside the home where Erika paced the hallway with her phone in her hand. She had been crying most of the night, though she tried to hide it from the staff. Fans always talked about how strong she looked, how calm she sounded, but they had never seen her like this, moving from room to room as if searching for a place where the truth couldn't reach her. She texted Charlie again and again, but all he sent back were short lines that didn't answer anything. He kept insisting everything was fine and that Candace was stirring drama for attention. But Erika knew Candace too well to believe that. Candace never threw out a warning unless she had something heavy behind it. The house felt tense, the kind of tension that sits on your chest and refuses to move. Even the morning light seemed harsh. Erika brushed her hair back and whispered that she couldn't let this blow up. Not now, not when everything already felt fragile. She remembered the argument the night before, the one she had with Charlie in their bedroom while the kids were asleep. She had asked him over and over what Candace meant with her post, but Charlie got defensive, almost angry. He told her Candace had been looking for a fight for months, that she loved to stir things up, that she wanted control. But Erika felt something break inside her when she noticed how he wouldn't look her in the eyes. She kept replaying that moment in her head now, wondering why he seemed more worried about Candace talking than about her shaking. She stood near the window and stared outside at the cars passing by, each one feeling like a reminder that the world outside was already talking about her meltdown. Even though she hadn't spoken a single word, fans noticed her silence instantly. They left comments begging her to say something, reassuring her, accusing her, speculating if her marriage was falling apart, if she had fought with Candace, if Charlie had done something that she couldn't forgive. It was wild watching strangers guess her life like a game show. The worst part was seeing a few comments from old friends asking if she was safe. She wanted to respond, to explain, but how could she explain something she barely understood herself? Across the city, Candace sat in her living room with her laptop open and a folder beside her. The folder was thick, filled with printed messages, screenshots, and handwritten notes. She had been collecting everything for months, waiting for the right moment to confront the people she had once called family. She didn't want to take this route. She tried settling things privately. She tried warning Charlie gently. She even tried supporting Erika through some private doubts, but every time she stepped forward, someone pushed her back. Candace finally whispered to herself that truth does not live in silence. And once she said it out loud, she knew she had reached the point of no return. She looked down at her phone, buzzing every few seconds with messages from people asking if she planned to go live again. Some said they supported her. Others begged her not to start a war. She ignored most of them. She clicked into a private message from a mutual friend who said Erika was panicking, that people inside her circle were blaming Candace for the chaos. Candace felt her jaw tighten as she read it. She said quietly that the one who caused the chaos was the one who hid something in the first place. She did not want to hurt Erika, but she knew that staying quiet meant enabling a lie that would swallow everyone involved. What shocked Candace the most was how quickly the situation escalated into a public meltdown. She never expected Erika to break this fast. She thought Erika would confront Charlie, demand the truth, and sort it out before the public even noticed. Instead, Erika vanished from her own pages, letting fans fill the silence with theories. In a different part of town, Charlie sat alone in his office, staring at his phone lighting up with messages he didn't want to open. The pressure around him felt like a tightening rope. He knew Candace had always been bold, but he never thought she would dare threaten him publicly. He rubbed his forehead and muttered that she was blowing everything out of proportion. Deep down though, he felt a cold fear that she might actually release the messages she had been holding, the messages he never thought she would save. He remembered the conversations from months ago, the ones he had with someone he should never have trusted. He told himself it had been harmless. He convinced himself that everyone had private conversations they didn't want public, but Candace didn't see it that way. She saw it as a betrayal of values, a betrayal of Erika, a betrayal of truth. As the clock ticked toward noon, Erika finally sat on her living room couch, gripping a pillow as if holding on for stability. She tried calling Charlie again, and this time he answered with a tired voice. He told her again not to worry, that Candace was trying to tear them apart. Erika asked him directly, her voice shaking, if there was anything he had kept from her. He paused. The silence that followed was long enough to make Erika's skin crawl. When he finally said no, she heard the unsteady breath behind the word. She asked him if Candace had something on him. He said Candace misunderstood everything. He said Candace wanted drama. He said Candace was jealous. But Erika had known Candace for years, and jealousy had never been her style. Anger maybe, blunt honesty maybe, even brutal criticism when she felt someone needed to hear it. But jealousy was not in her nature. Erika whispered that she couldn't breathe living like this, wondering what Quiet again. That silence cut her deeper than the argument. Erika hung up and pressed her face into her hands. The entire room felt cold. She knew something was wrong. She could feel it in her chest. Rumors online were only getting louder. Fans were now suggesting that Candace and Erika had fought weeks ago and had been pretending to stay close. Others said Charlie had been involved in private meetings with someone controversial. One wild rumor claimed that Charlie had been planning a secret project that excluded Erika entirely. Another said Candace had recordings. It was chaos. By early afternoon, Candace made her move. She posted a single video clip, only 10 seconds long, showing the corner of a printed conversation, with Charlie's name visible at the top. She didn't reveal the content. She didn't need to. That single frame was enough to send the internet into full collapse. Erika felt her stomach twist when she saw the clip. Her hands trembled as she held her phone. She could not believe that things had reached this point. Fans flooded her page, begging her to speak, demanding answers, accusing her of hiding the truth, telling her she deserved better, blaming Charlie, blaming Candace, blaming everyone. The noise was deafening. She whispered that she was losing control of her own life, but something inside her shifted. She wiped her face and breathed slowly. She stood up from the couch, walked to the kitchen, and grabbed a glass of water. She knew she had to find out what was in those messages before the world saw them. She knew the only way to protect her family was to face the truth head-on. With her phone in her hand and the world waiting outside her door, She prepared herself to confront Candace and Charlie, knowing that whatever came next would change everything. The moment Erika stepped out of her living room and into the hallway, her heart pounded like it might escape her chest. Every message, every notification from the night before replayed in her mind. And she felt the weight of Candace's actions pressing down on her. She could hear the faint buzz of her phone in her pocket, as if it were a metronome, keeping pace with her rising anxiety. She had rehearsed what she would say to Charlie, what she would say to Candace if they confronted each other, but the rehearsal fell apart the second she stepped outside. Every scenario seemed small compared to the magnitude of what could happen once Candace revealed everything. She remembered the morning calls, the messages from mutual friends, and the hints that had been dropped quietly over the past month. Suddenly, it all connected. The casual mentions of disagreements, the vague texts about trust, the private jokes that never made sense. It was all leading to this moment, this precise moment of reckoning. As she made her way down the stairs, she realized she had no choice but to meet Candace first. She had to know exactly what was in those receipts, and she had to hear it from the source before it spread like wildfire. Candace, meanwhile, was already prepared. She had her notes neatly organized, her thoughts lined up, and a determined look on her face that told anyone who saw her she was not going to back down. When Erika arrived, Candace greeted her with a calm but intense stare, the kind of stare that feels like it sees every secret you're holding. Erika's knees went weak as she walked closer. The air was thick with tension, and even though they had been friends for years, the dynamic had shifted. Candace spoke first, her voice steady but low. "Erika, I'm not here to hurt you, but I need you to understand the full story before anyone else gets to it." Erika nodded, biting her lip, trying to keep her composure. She had felt a mixture of relief and fear the moment Candace said that. Relief because at least she would know the truth from Candace herself. Fear because she had no idea what she would hear. Candace handed her the folder, and Erika's hands shook as she opened it. The pages were filled with screenshots of private conversations, messages that hinted at deception, and notes written in Charlie's handwriting that revealed inconsistencies she had never noticed before. She scanned the pages quickly, her eyes widening with every line. "Charlie, why? Why would he hide this from me?" she whispered, barely audible. Candace placed a comforting hand on her shoulder. "I tried warning you," she said softly. "I didn't want it to get to this point, but he left me no choice." Erika sank into the nearest chair, her mind racing with questions and confusion. She felt the room spinning, the gravity of the betrayal making her stomach churn. He's been talking behind my back," she asked, her voice trembling. Candace nodded solemnly. "Not just talking, Erika. Planning, hiding, everything you thought was secure. It's not." Erika covered her face with her hands, feeling the sting of tears and anger all at once. She couldn't believe the person she trusted most in the world had been keeping secrets from her. Candace continued, "You deserve to know everything before anyone else twists the story. And I promise, after this, you'll have a choice to decide how to respond." Erika took a deep breath, forcing herself to look at the pages again. One screenshot after another revealed more than she could process in a single glance. There were messages with colleagues, private admissions of mistakes, attempts to shift blame, and subtle manipulations that Erika had never noticed before. The realization hit her like a physical blow. Charlie had been orchestrating things behind her back for months, and she had been none the wiser. She felt a mixture of rage and sorrow, an emotional storm that left her shaking. She looked up at Candace, who met her gaze with unwavering honesty, and whispered, "I can't believe this. I thought I knew him. I trusted him." Candace nodded. "And that trust is exactly why this is so hard. Sometimes the people closest to us make the choices that hurt us the most." Erika clutched the folder to her chest, feeling the paper cutting slightly into her fingers. A small reminder that even small details could hurt when stacked together. As she absorbed the truth, the weight of what was coming next pressed down on her. Candace had prepared for confrontation, but Erika realized she was not just preparing for confrontation with Charlie. She was preparing to confront a world that had been watching silently, speculating, judging. The thought made her shiver. She knew that once the truth came out, there would be no turning back. The friends, family, and fans who had been waiting for updates would all demand answers, and the scrutiny would be intense. Erika felt trapped between loyalty and justice, between love and the unbearable truth. She looked back at Candace and said, "What do I do now?" Candace's eyes softened, but her voice remained firm. "You do what you need to do for yourself, Erika. The rest will follow. You confront him, you ask the questions, and you don't stop until you have the answers." "Exactly what it looks like. Why didn't you tell me? Why keep me in the dark?" Charlie's voice shook. I thought I was protecting you. I didn't want you to get hurt. Erika laughed bitterly. Protect me. Hiding things, manipulating situations, that's protection. Candace watched quietly from the corner, knowing her presence had shifted the power dynamic entirely. Erika's emotions were raw, unfiltered, and for the first time, Charlie realized he was facing the full force of her wrath. The conversation spiraled quickly into accusations, revelations, and tears, each exchange more intense than the last. Charlie tried to justify, to explain, to plead, but every word seemed to make Erika angrier. She shouted, she cried, she demanded clarity, and through it all, Candace provided calm but unwavering support, ensuring Erika stayed grounded despite the emotional chaos. Outside, the neighbors noticed the tension, the raised voices, the comings and goings of people who had no idea what they were witnessing. Fans following the story online erupted with excitement as live updates from insiders hinted at confrontation, while snippets of screenshots and blurred messages flooded social media. Speculation reached fever pitch. Some fans took sides, others predicted catastrophic fallout, and a few simply watched in disbelief as a trusted relationship seemed to collapse in real time. Inside the house, Erika finally demanded a full explanation. Charlie confessed to certain actions, tried to soften the truth, and begged for forgiveness. Erika listened, her mind racing, weighing years of trust against moments of betrayal. She asked the hard questions, repeated, clarified, challenged, and demanded honesty. The emotional roller coaster reached a peak when Charlie revealed details that even Candace hadn't expected. Details that turned the story from suspicion into undeniable scandal. Erika's tears flowed freely now, but beneath them was a newfound determination. She realized that understanding the truth was her power, and that facing it, no matter how painful, was necessary. Candace remained steadfast, knowing her decision to release the folder was not just about exposing Charlie. It was about giving Erika the tools to take control of her life, to demand accountability, and to protect herself from further manipulation. The conversation lasted hours, voices rising and falling, hearts pounding, and emotions raw. By the time the evening sun cast its long shadows across the living room, the first chapter of confrontation had ended. Erika had the clarity she needed, Candace had fulfilled her role as the bearer of truth, and Charlie, he was left to face the consequences of choices he could no longer hide. The storm outside the walls of the house mirrored the storm inside, but for Erika, a strange calm emerged. She knew the next steps would be hard, but the truth was finally out. And for the first time in weeks, she felt the faintest spark of control. Erika sank into the couch after the confrontation, still gripping the folder as if it were a lifeline. The adrenaline that had surged through her veins slowly began to ebb, leaving behind a hollow emptiness. She had spent hours questioning Charlie, listening to his explanations, dissecting every word, every hesitation, and yet the answers felt incomplete. Her mind raced with what-ifs, what could have been prevented, and what would come next. Candace remained by her side, silent but observant, letting Erika process the storm that had just passed. The room was quiet except for the occasional distant hum of traffic outside, a stark contrast to the chaos of emotions that had filled the space moments before. Erika's phone buzzed incessantly with notifications, messages from friends, family, and even strangers who somehow knew bits and pieces of the story. She ignored them, knowing that the time for engagement would come later. Right now, she needed clarity. She needed to rebuild the composure that had been shattered. She flipped through the folder again, reading and rereading the messages, trying to connect every dot. The pieces painted a picture of deception far larger than she had imagined. Every private conversation, every concealed plan, every half-truth now formed a pattern she could no longer deny. She felt a cold realization settling in. Charlie's actions had not been isolated incidents. They were a series of calculated choices, all designed to protect his own image while keeping her in the dark. Erika's hands trembled as she set the folder on the coffee table, the weight of truth pressing down on her. Candace reached over and placed a hand on her shoulder, offering a silent comfort. "You have to decide how you move forward," Candace said softly. "The rest will follow." Erika nodded, swallowing hard. She had known Candace for years, had trusted her judgment, and now she understood why Candace had gone to such lengths to reveal the receipts. It wasn't about drama. It was about survival, about preserving dignity in the face of betrayal. Later that evening, Erika confronted Charlie again, this time in a more controlled environment. The living room lights cast long shadows across the walls as she faced him, her eyes sharp, her voice steady, despite the quiver beneath. "Charlie," she began, "I need a full account. No excuses, No omissions. Charlie's face paled, and he swallowed nervously. He nodded, his lips pressed tightly together. The air between them was thick with tension. He began to speak, revealing more details, some of which even Candace hadn't known. His explanations were filled with hesitation, attempts to justify actions that Erika now saw clearly as manipulation. I thought I was protecting you, he admitted, voice trembling. Erika's eyes narrowed. Protecting me, hiding texts, keeping secrets, lying to me. That's your version of protection. Charlie faltered, realizing the depth of her anger and disappointment. Candace observed silently, noting every detail, every reaction, every micro-expression that betrayed Charlie's guilt. She knew that the narrative would unfold publicly soon, and the raw honesty of this confrontation was essential before any outside interpretation could take hold. Erika's emotions ran high as she pushed further. She demanded answers about specific messages, private meetings, and the motives behind them. Charlie tried to explain, to frame his actions as concern for her well-being, but the logic was thin, the reasoning fragile. Erika's tears flowed freely, a mixture of sorrow and fury, yet beneath the emotional torrent was a steel-like resolve. She realized that confronting the truth head-on, no matter how painful, was her only path to reclaiming agency over her life. Outside, the world had begun to react. Snippets of information leaked onto social media as insiders speculated about the unfolding confrontation. Fans were shocked, divided in their opinions, some defending Erika, others questioning her judgment. A few even sympathizing with Charlie despite the revelations. The digital storm mirrored the chaos within the house, amplifying the emotional intensity of every decision, every word exchanged. By late evening, Erika made a choice. She would not allow the deceit to define her or her response. She decided to step back temporarily, process the information, and plan her next move with clarity rather than impulse. She thanked Candace quietly, acknowledging her unwavering support. Candace's gaze was steady, a mix of concern and pride. "You're stronger than you realize," she said. "And this is just the beginning." Erika nodded, understanding that the battle for truth and resolution was far from over. The following morning brought a new set of challenges. Erika had barely slept, thoughts of the confrontation replaying endlessly in her mind. She reviewed the messages again, analyzing the implications of every revelation, weighing the emotional and practical consequences. The tension with Charlie lingered, now tinged with mutual wariness and unspoken acknowledgement of the fissures in their relationship. She knew that when she addressed friends and family, the story would inevitably spread. The challenge would be navigating the public perception, managing the private fallout, and ensuring that she maintained control over the narrative. Candace continued to provide guidance, helping Erika craft measured responses without compromising the integrity of the truth. Together, they strategized how to approach communication with those affected, considering the emotional ramifications for all involved. As they planned, Erika's resolve strengthened. She recognized that she could no longer rely solely on trust in others. She needed to anchor herself in clarity, evidence, and her own judgment. The day unfolded with phone calls, private consultations, and careful monitoring of social media chatter. Every update from the outside world seemed to test Erika's patience. Yet she remained composed, determined to respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively. Candace remained a stabilizing presence, offering perspective, insight, and occasional sharp reminders of the stakes involved. The complexity of emotions, relationships, and public scrutiny created a dynamic that required constant attention, strategic thinking, and unwavering By afternoon, Erika convened a meeting with key friends and advisors to discuss next steps. The room was tense, filled with anticipation, curiosity, and concern. She explained the situation, presented the evidence, and articulated her intended approach to confronting Charlie and addressing the public narrative. Reactions varied, some expressing shock, others offering support, a few questioning the timing or method of disclosure. Erika absorbed every input, balancing the emotional intensity with rational planning. She recognized that transparency, authenticity, and timing were critical to maintaining credibility and ensuring the truth was respected. As the evening approached, Erika prepared for a direct conversation with Charlie, one that would clarify unresolved questions and lay the groundwork for future decisions. Candace accompanied her, offering guidance, support, and reassurance. The air was heavy with tension, the anticipation of confrontation palpable. The stage was set for a pivotal moment that would define relationships, public perception, and personal accountability. Erika understood that this confrontation was not simply about past actions. It was a turning point, an opportunity to reclaim agency, establish boundaries, and confront deception with clarity, courage, and unyielding resolve. The night stretched long, filled with dialogue, revelations, and emotional breakthroughs, setting the tone for the continuing drama that would captivate the attention of fans, friends, and observers alike. Every word spoken, every reaction displayed, contributed to a narrative of truth, betrayal, resilience, and the painstaking journey toward understanding, closure, and empowerment. The night after the confrontation lingered heavily over Erika. She sat alone in her room, the folder resting on the desk beside her, pages slightly crumpled from hours of intense reading and rereading. Her mind kept replaying Charlie's hesitant confessions, his attempts to justify months of secrecy, and the subtle manipulations she had only just recognized. The emotions were raw and swirling, a mix of anger, betrayal, sadness, and disbelief, but beneath it all was a growing clarity. Erika understood that the past could not be undone, and that the choices she made now would define everything to come. She leaned back in her chair, eyes closed, trying to steady her breathing. Candace had advised patience, but patience felt like a luxury she could barely afford. The notifications on her phone pulsed incessantly, fans speculating, insiders leaking fragments, commentators adding conjecture. She ignored them, knowing that engaging impulsively could only worsen the situation. She needed strategy, composure, and control. The next morning, Erika began organizing her thoughts and planning the conversations she had to have. The first was with Charlie. There were still unanswered questions, moments of hesitation she couldn't overlook. She rehearsed her points carefully, the folder open beside her as a guide. Each detail mattered, and she intended to confront him directly with evidence, demanding honesty without interruption. The house was quiet, eerily so, as if sensing the storm that had just passed and the one that was looming. When Charlie arrived, there was an initial silence, a thick, suffocating pause as both absorbed the weight of the previous day's revelations. Erika's voice broke the quiet, firm yet calm. "We need to go through this from start to finish. No lies, no omissions." Charlie nodded, swallowing hard, and began recounting events, each confession exposing more than she could have imagined. She listened intently, occasionally interjecting with pointed questions, challenging inconsistencies, and demanding clarity. Candace remained nearby, her presence grounding Erika, her sharp observations ensuring that Charlie's words were scrutinized carefully. As the conversation progressed, Erika noticed the patterns of concealment, the repeated attempts to shift responsibility, and the ways Charlie had manipulated information to maintain control. It became increasingly clear that what had seemed like isolated misjudgments were part of a larger strategy, one that had Erika's trust at its core. The emotional intensity in the room grew. Erika's voice rose at moments, filled with righteous anger. Yet she maintained a measured composure, refusing to be swept away entirely by emotion. Charlie's face reflected the weight of exposure, his usual confidence shattered under the scrutiny of truth. He attempted to justify his actions as protective measures, but Erika dissected each claim, countering with evidence, memories, and logic. The confrontation was exhausting, mentally and emotionally, but Erika pressed on, determined to see the full picture laid bare. Outside the house, the social media storm continued to escalate. Clips of partial confrontations leaked online, speculation soared, and fans debated every possible angle. Erika's name trended alongside Candace's and Charlie's, fueling the sense that the drama was no longer confined to private spaces. It had spilled into public consciousness, and the ramifications were unpredictable. Candace advised Erika to focus on what she could control, to manage her responses carefully, and to avoid reacting impulsively to the flood of online commentary. Erika followed the advice, prioritizing direct interactions over digital chaos. As evening fell, Erika turned her attention to her inner circle friends. Candace remained an anchor, advising on tone, content, and approach, ensuring Erika maintained credibility and emotional composure. As the week progressed, Erika's confidence grew. She had reclaimed a sense of control, recognized the full scope of Charlie's actions, and established her own path forward. The storm had not passed, but she now approached it with strategic clarity rather than chaotic emotion. The combination of truth, careful planning, and emotional resilience became her shield, allowing her to face Charlie, manage her circle, and navigate public scrutiny with purpose and poise. The foundation was laid for the next stage, a carefully orchestrated confrontation with broader implications. Ensuring that the truth would prevail, accountability would be demanded, and Erika's integrity and autonomy would remain intact. The experience left her transformed, wiser, stronger, and prepared to address the challenges ahead. understanding that the revelations of the past would shape the decisions of the future, and that she would no longer be a passive observer in a narrative that once seemed beyond her control. The following morning, Erika awoke with a sense of determination that had been absent for weeks. The confrontation with Charlie had drained her emotionally, but it had also clarified her priorities and illuminated the path she needed to take. She reviewed the folder once more, meticulously examining each page, each screenshot, and each hidden note that had previously eluded her notice. The magnitude of the deception was staggering, yet she felt a growing strength in knowing the full truth. Candace remained a constant presence, offering guidance, perspective, and emotional support, ensuring Erika stayed grounded despite the storm swirling around them. Together, they mapped out a plan to confront not only Charlie but also the broader network of individuals whose actions had contributed to the unraveling of trust. Erika's phone buzzed relentlessly, notifications flooding in from friends, family, fans, and strangers alike, all demanding updates, opinions, and explanations. She ignored the majority of them, focusing instead on the critical conversations that needed her immediate attention. Charlie, on the other hand, was visibly unraveling. The night's confrontations had left him uneasy, his usual confidence replaced by a palpable fear. He sensed the inevitability of public exposure, the unraveling of carefully constructed facades, and the consequences that awaited him. Erika confronted him once again, this time in a more controlled setting, determined to extract every ounce of truth. Her voice was calm but unwavering, her questions pointed, and her demeanor commanding. Candace observed quietly, ready to intervene if necessary, ensuring that Erika maintained control over the dialogue and that Charlie could not manipulate or deflect the conversation. Charlie attempted to explain, rationalize, and justify his actions, but Erika's meticulous review of evidence allowed her to counter every claim. The conversation escalated, emotions running high, tears mixing with frustration and anger, yet Erika held her ground. She demanded accountability, clarity, and honesty, refusing to accept half-truths or vague explanations. Outside the house, the social media frenzy intensified. Leaks, insider commentary, and speculation created a digital storm that mirrored the emotional chaos within Erika's home. Fans debated loyalties, dissected actions, and predicted outcomes, creating an atmosphere of relentless scrutiny. Erika remained insulated from the noise, focusing solely on the truth and the strategic decisions required to manage the fallout. As days passed, Erika initiated conversations with her inner circle friends, advisors, and close family members to provide context, present evidence, and seek counsel. Reactions varied, ranging from shock and disbelief to steadfast support and practical advice. Erika absorbed all feedback, balancing emotional considerations with the need for strategic action. Candace played a critical role, helping Erika frame communications, manage emotional responses, and plan steps to ensure integrity, transparency, and accountability. The confrontation with Charlie reached a pivotal moment when Erika presented undeniable evidence that exposed the extent of his manipulations. Charlie's responses became increasingly fragmented, attempts to explain faltering under the weight of irrefutable proof. Erika's emotions were raw but controlled, blending righteous anger with measured composure, a combination that left Charlie visibly shaken and introspective. The magnitude of the revelations extended beyond personal betrayal. They highlighted a complex web of interactions, concealed intentions, and strategic deceptions. Erika recognized that addressing these dynamics required not only confronting Charlie but also managing perceptions, relationships, and public scrutiny. Candace's counsel emphasized the importance of clarity, timing, and emotional control in navigating these interconnected challenges. As the week progressed, Erika executed a series of deliberate actions to assert control over the narrative. She conducted private discussions with friends and advisors, selectively disclosed information to prevent misinterpretation, and monitored social media to anticipate potential Each step was calculated to reinforce her credibility, maintain composure, and ensure that the unfolding story aligned with truth, rather than rumor. Charlie's position became increasingly precarious as Erika's strategic approach gained traction. He faced the dual pressures of personal accountability and public exposure, a combination that strained his ability to respond effectively. Erika's interactions with him became more assertive, each exchange designed to extract honesty, clarify intentions, and establish boundaries for future conduct. Candace continued to provide critical support, guiding Erika, unpredictable and intense, but Erika's deliberate, measured approach positioned her to navigate it effectively, uphold truth, and maintain agency in a narrative that had threatened to overwhelm her. By the time night fell, Erika had a clearer understanding of her position, her goals, and the steps required to protect herself, assert accountability, and prepare for inevitable public engagement. She was no longer a passive participant in the drama. She had become a central force, guiding the narrative, confronting deception, and reclaiming control over the complex web of relationships, emotions, and public scrutiny that defined the unfolding story. Erika woke to the sound of her phone buzzing relentlessly on the nightstand. The previous week's confrontations with Charlie had left her physically drained but mentally sharpened. She now faced the reality that the drama was far from over. Messages, notifications, and social media alerts poured in, all hinting at the chaos unfolding outside her immediate sphere. She sat up slowly, running a hand through her hair, and braced herself for what she knew would be a demanding day. Candace had been at her side throughout, but even her unwavering support couldn't lessen the weight of the impending decisions. The folder containing Charlie's messages and receipts lay open on the desk, a silent reminder of the truths she now had to manage. She reviewed the contents again, each page reinforcing her understanding that the betrayal was more extensive than even she had realized. The personal stakes were higher than she had imagined, the web of secrets extending into corners she hadn't yet explored. She could feel the emotional tension in her chest, a tight knot of anger, disappointment, and determination. She knew that confronting Charlie further would be inevitable, but she also recognized that the world outside was watching, waiting, and forming judgments. Erika prepared herself meticulously, organizing her thoughts, rehearsing conversations, and planning for the eventual engagement with friends, family, and fans. Candace offered guidance, emphasizing strategic timing, careful disclosure, and measured responses to prevent further complications. By late morning, Erika initiated another discussion with Charlie, one that would push deeper into the nuances of his deception. She demanded clarity on inconsistencies, requested explanations for his motives, and challenged his attempts at rationalization. Charlie, visibly tense, attempted to defend himself, but the weight of the evidence Erika presented left him floundering. Every denial, every justification, was met with pointed questions and undeniable proof. The emotional intensity escalated, voices rising and falling, tears mixing with frustration and anger. Erika maintained composure, balancing raw emotion with strategic control, refusing to allow the situation to spiral into chaos. Candace observed closely, ensuring that Erika's authority remained intact and that Charlie could not manipulate the narrative further. Outside, the storm continued to brew online. Social media buzzed with speculation, snippets of insider knowledge leaked, and fans reacted with divided loyalties. Erika remained insulated, focusing on critical conversations rather than the relentless chatter. The need to manage perception without compromising truth became increasingly evident. As the day unfolded, Erika engaged with close friends and trusted advisors, presenting evidence, outlining strategies, and seeking counsel on the next steps. Reactions varied, ranging from shock and disbelief to pragmatic advice and emotional support. She absorbed the feedback, balancing personal feelings with strategic considerations. Candace's presence provided stability, helping Erika frame her responses and actions in a way that maintained credibility, authority, and emotional control. As afternoon turned to evening, Erika scheduled a series of conversations designed to resolve lingering questions and clarify boundaries. The discussions were intense, with Charlie confronting the reality of exposure, fans observing from afar, and Erika asserting accountability. She demanded transparency, resisted excuses, and made it clear that manipulation or omission would no longer be tolerated. Every interaction reinforced the gravity of Charlie's actions, the extent of betrayal, and the need for resolution on Erika's terms. Over the following days, Erika executed deliberate measures to consolidate control over the narrative. Private briefings with friends and advisors ensured alignment and understanding. Selective information releases allowed her to shape perception while safeguarding the integrity of the truth. Social media continued to react, with leaks, rumors, and speculation creating a chaotic environment, yet Erika navigated it strategically, prioritizing clarity and accountability over reactionary engagement. The intensity of the situation forced Erika to refine her approach to communication, public interaction, and personal reflection. She learned to compartmentalize emotion, analyze motives, and respond with precision. Candace's mentorship remained invaluable, guiding Erika through complex emotional landscapes and strategic considerations. As she navigated these challenges, Erika began to recognize her own transformation. The betrayal that had initially left her feeling powerless now fueled a sense of agency, strategic insight, and emotional resilience. She understood that controlling the narrative required careful planning, consistent communication, and a willingness to confront uncomfortable truths head-on. Charlie's position continued to deteriorate under scrutiny. His attempts to explain, justify, or deflect were increasingly ineffective as Erika's clarity, evidence, and strategic approach dominated the unfolding narrative. The imbalance of power shifted, with Erika asserting authority over both the private and public dimensions of the story. By the end of the week, Erika had established a structured dictate her reality. It was this very confrontation with truth, no matter how uncomfortable or painful, that had transformed her from a passive participant into an empowered individual fully in control of her narrative. The lessons were clear. Transparency, accountability, and courage were not just abstract ideals, they were practical tools she now wielded daily. As the dust settled, Erika realized that the story was far from over, not because she anticipated further deception, but because the aftermath of such drama always leaves lingering questions, subtle tensions, and the need for ongoing vigilance. She had learned that one confrontation, no matter how thorough, is never the end. Each action, each word, each decision sends ripples through relationships and public perception, and managing those ripples requires patience, strategy, and constant awareness. She reflected on how Candace had been by her side, a calm and strategic presence guiding her through the most chaotic moments. It was in this guidance that Erika found her own voice, her own strength, and her own capacity to face challenges without losing sight of her values. Candace had reminded her that empowerment is not about revenge or vindication, but about reclaiming autonomy, establishing boundaries, and asserting truth in the face of opposition. The reality of social media, of public speculation, and of fans dissecting every snippet of interaction had added layers of complexity. Erika understood now that her actions and decisions were not just personal, they were public performances in a theater where every gesture is analyzed, every word scrutinized, and every reaction amplified. This awareness forced her to refine her communication, to balance emotion with strategy, and to maintain composure even when provoked. She realized that by doing so, she not only preserved her dignity but also demonstrated strength that resonated beyond her immediate circle. The importance of managing perception became painfully clear. She could not control every comment, every rumor, or every interpretation, but she could control her actions, her transparency, and her response to falsehoods. It was this control that provided her a sense of agency, even when the chaos seemed overwhelming. As she reviewed the events of the past weeks, Erika recognized the growth that had emerged from adversity. Where once she might have been overwhelmed by deceit and manipulation, she now met it with composure, strategy, and resilience. She had learned to ask the hard questions, demand accountability, and remain steadfast in the pursuit of clarity, no matter the emotional cost. Every confrontation with Charlie, every review of evidence, and every consultation with Candace had been a step toward mastering not only the situation but also her own responses. This mastery extended beyond personal relationships. The experience had honed her understanding of how narratives are formed, how information can be manipulated, and how individuals must assert authority over their own story to prevent distortion. Erika understood that empowerment comes from preparation, awareness, and deliberate action, and that these principles could be applied universally, not just in moments of personal drama. She reflected on the emotional toll tears shed in frustration, nights spent wrestling with anger and disappointment, hours of strategic deliberation, and recognized that these sacrifices were the price of reclaiming agency. The journey had been exhausting, yet the strength she had gained was immeasurable. The transformation was subtle but profound. Where there had been uncertainty and self-doubt, there was now confidence. Where there had been fear of exposure and judgment, there was now clarity and resolve. Erika also acknowledged that this was not a journey she could have navigated alone. The presence of Candace, the support of trusted friends and advisors, and even the reactions of fans provided both challenge and reinforcement, pushing her to refine her approach, consider alternative perspectives, and reinforce her commitment to truth. As the public and private ramifications of the drama continued to unfold, Erika realized that vigilance must be ongoing. Deception, rumors, and manipulation do not conclude with one confrontation. They require continual awareness, strategic thinking, and deliberate communication. She had learned that the cost of complacency is control, and she was determined never to surrender that again. Looking forward, Erika understood that her decisions would continue to influence both her immediate relationships and the broader perception of her character. She needed to remain attentive, measured, and assertive, ensuring that the narrative she had worked so hard to reclaim was not hijacked or distorted by further intrigue. Every interaction, from private discussions to social media engagement, was an opportunity to reinforce the clarity, integrity, and authority she had fought to establish. The lessons extended beyond the drama itself. Erika now grasped the importance of self-reflection, deliberate decision-making, and maintaining emotional composure in the face of provocation. She recognized the need for boundaries, for questioning intentions, and for holding others accountable without compromising her own values or clarity. These principles would guide her through any future challenges, ensuring that empowerment and truth remain central to her choices. In moments of solitude, Erika reflected on how far she had come. The turbulence of betrayal had become a catalyst for growth, teaching resilience, strategic thinking, and emotional mastery. She had faced deception with courage, demanded accountability without compromise, and emerged with a newfound understanding of both herself and the dynamics of trust and influence. Candace's mentorship had been critical, offering both practical guidance and emotional stability. Their conversations had provided clarity, perspective, and tactical insight, shaping Erika's approach to confrontation, disclosure, and public narrative management. She realized that true empowerment is a combination of inner strength, strategic awareness, and the willingness to confront uncomfortable truths with honesty and courage. As she prepared for further interactions with Charlie and the wider circle of observers, Erika felt a profound sense of readiness. She would continue to demand transparency, assert boundaries, and manage perception with deliberate action. The storm of gossip, speculation, and scrutiny could rage around her, but she now possessed the tools, insight, and resolve to navigate it effectively. Finally, Erika addressed the camera directly, her voice steady, filled with conviction and authority. "You've witnessed the drama, the confrontations, the revelations. It's been intense, emotional, and transformative. I've faced deception, demanded truth, and reclaimed control over my narrative. This is a reminder that honesty, courage, and accountability are essential. Never compromise them for convenience or fear. I want to hear from you. How would you confront betrayal? What would you do if faced with hidden truths and manipulation? Comment below with your thoughts, share your experiences, and let's engage in a conversation about strength, clarity, and empowerment. And if you want to follow this journey as it unfolds, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss any developments. The story isn't over, and together, we'll explore every twist, every revelation, and every challenge. Your voice matters, your perspective counts, and your engagement helps shape the dialogue around truth, integrity, and resilience. Join me as we navigate this journey, uncovering the layers of deception, confronting manipulation, and celebrating the strength that comes from facing reality head. Remember, the power to shape your story, to demand accountability, and to maintain integrity is in your hands. Stay vigilant, stay courageous, and keep seeking clarity. I'm Erika, and this is just the beginning. Let's continue this journey together, analyzing every turn, every revelation, and every lesson that comes our way. Your participation fuels the conversation, strengthens the community, and ensures that the pursuit of truth remains central. So comment, share, like, and subscribe. Engage with this story, reflect on its lessons, and consider how you would act if faced with similar challenges. Together, we'll uncover every truth, confront every deception, and celebrate the empowerment that comes from reclaiming control over